Okay, so here we are to unbox yet another ARRMA vehicle, and this one is the Senton 4x4 BLX. Now, ARRMA did release this particular car late last year in brushed form. They also released the Granite 4x4, which is tucked away over there on the shelf. They were the mega versions, so they came with just brushed motors and so forth. And for the price that they were, I think personally here in Australia they actually sold very well and they were reasonably priced, and I think for the type of demographic they were meant for, I think they hit the mark. They were affordable, parts were relatively cheap, although a little bit hard to get at the time, and you know, they performed very well. I mean, I took mine over to the BMX track just like I do all my other cars, and I didn't break it and nothing went wrong with it. It didn't, you know, exactly break any records doing jumps, but it did what it was supposed to do, and it came back in one piece, and it's still there in one piece, believe it or not. But of course, people got bored with the brushed power. They wanted a 4x4 brushless, and a lot of people have upgraded these cars to brushless themselves. And of course, that creates some problems because the cars did not really come equipped for the brushless power. The plan was to have these released a little bit earlier in the year, but of course, due to the entire Hobbyco and Horizon Hobby takeover and all the sort of thing that's gone on behind the scenes, these cars got pushed back. But of course, that only gave ARRMA a little bit of extra time to make sure that these were ready to handle brushless power. And today I have my own here. I've already got the Granite, so now I'm going to check out the Senton, which has the longer chassis, and I'm really curious to see how this is going to perform. So without further ado, we get rid of the box as we always do. We have our Tactic radio. You guys have seen this one countless times. I'm just going to put it over there. I'm not even going to talk about it too much. Inside the little bag of goodies, we have what looks like an Allen key, some preload spaces for your shocks, and that funny looking red key, which actually works really well to remove your shocks. I think I used one of them once to do something for the shocks. It's actually a really good tool. So hang on to that. It looks really weird, but it does work quite well. And of course, in here we have some literature, such as the user manual, warranty cards. There's also an exploded view of the car in this little fold out thing, if I'm not mistaken. If this is the one that I'm referring to. Yes, here it is. So this has pretty much every part number listed on here, which is fantastic. So if you break a part on this car, you can just look this up quick. Oh, that's the one I broke. Yep, ring up your local hobby store. Have you got part 1, 2, 3, 4? Bang, and we can go from there. Nice and easy. So that's all the literature and all the little bits and pieces that come with the truck. Now for the truck itself, this is a very bright, vibrant green with a little bit of a black sort of gunmetal, charcoaly looking back piece. The body itself definitely comes from the same sort of mold as the Senton 6S BLX that you see over there. So very similar looking bodies, these two. I think they actually work quite well together. It's like that's the older brother, this is the younger brother type of thing. Maybe it's a distant cousin, I don't know. But, you know, Senton 4x4, you just got to remember there's a Mega and now there's a BLX version, and then you got the Senton 6S over there. Hopefully that clears things up. I was kind of hoping that they would call this the Fury. I mean, I think I said this when I unboxed the Granite. I was hoping they'd call this one the Fury 4x4 because it kind of makes sense. It's a 10 scale, but they've stuck with the Senton, I guess, just to make everything streamlined in their lineup. The body itself, we'll take this guy out of here very quickly, and we'll talk about this one a little bit. Nice, tough body, probably not as thick as like your Outcast type of body and Notorious that you see over there, but definitely thicker than what you'll probably find in most ready-to-run short course trucks. So good on ARRMA for doing that. And of course they use that tape adhesive on the inside to protect against rubbing. So they've even got some here on the inside of the guards for when you take your jumps and so forth, so the tires aren't sort of rubbing off the paint on the truck. So also some on the side here. Very good job as always. ARRMA do a fantastic job with their bodies, decals, paint scheme, and all of that. They do very well. The truck itself, here it is here. So if you've seen the Granite 4x4 unboxing, you've no doubt fairly familiar with this as well. Except this one is a slightly longer chassis, which I don't mind at all. I don't mind a longer chassis. Now, there is one thing that I was fearing was going to happen with this brand when Horizon Hobby took over, and that was, of course, there were going to be starting, they're going to start supplying these trucks with EC5 connectors or EC3. I actually thought the 10 scale will have EC3s and maybe the 8 scale will have EC5s. But they've gone straight to the EC5 here on the 10 scale. They're not mucking around. Now that's, on a positive note, that's a big connector on a 10 scale. It's a definite plus. I will take that over a T-style connector or a Dean's any day of the week. No problem about that. The downside is I just would have preferred they would have stayed with the XT style of connectors. I did sort of voice my opinion on these connectors when I unboxed the Notorious. So I'm not going to talk too much about them, but yeah, I just would have preferred the XT style. It works better for me. Now, we still have a plastic center drive shaft. And I know some people might go, well, why would you do that? ARRMA have reassured me that these things can handle the brushless power. And of course, we have an additional bearing in the middle here, which I believe the Granite does not have because it's a shorter chassis. And this kind of stops the shaft from kind of twisting and flexing and so forth. That's a really nice additional feature on this particular truck. So hopefully this will hold up just fine. You got a great big old heatsink right here on top of the motor. The motor itself is a 3200 kV 4-pole brushless motor. It does not give me the size of it on the can, but I will find it and I will put it up on screen if I can. If not, I'll measure this one myself. But it looks like it could be a 36 size can, maybe 64, 65. We'll find out if I'm close or not, just judging by what I see here. ESC, BLX 100 ESC. Now this does not mean that it's a 100 amp. To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure how many amps this is. But again, if I find out, I'll put it up on the screen. This looks like a rebranded Hobbywing SCT style of combo. That's what I'm thinking it might be. We have our standard red ARRMA servo here. It's all sealed up under here. I can't really even see what type of servo that is. But no doubt this will be sufficient for this truck. Of course, it could be stronger, it could be faster, like everybody always says, but I think ARRMA have pretty much done what they need to do to make sure you steer this thing in the right direction. We have adjustable camber links and toe links up the front, adjustable camber links at the rear. We have plastic body chocks with preload spacers and plastic shock caps. This is a little bit of a concern to me. I don't mind that these shocks exist on the Mega version, but I would have preferred a little bit of aluminium here, if not on the top shock caps themselves, maybe something on the bottom, just something to reassure us that you're a little bit more serious with this particular truck. We've got a nice beefy front bumper here that seems to be on a sort of hinge mechanism up the front, which is very interesting. I'm very curious about this one. So let's see how that works out. And then of course the rear bumper, believe it or not, they've actually put a wheelie bar type scenario going on the back of a short course truck. There's a wheelie bar on a short course truck out of the box. Just take a moment here to digest that. There is a wheelie bar provided on the truck, and it's a short course truck. I've never seen that before. Like what? I'm lost for words. The first time I saw that, I nearly fell down. Like I had heart palpitations. I was not feeling well. I needed a glass of water and I needed a sedative. It was, how do you explain that to someone? Oh yeah, it's a short course truck. It has a wheelie bar. They're gonna laugh at you. No, seriously, there's a wheel, there's two wheels. Look, there are two wheels on the back of this bumper. That's insane. I don't know what sort of performance I'm expecting out of this now. I think standing backflips might be something that could happen with this truck. I don't know. But if ARRMA are putting wheelie bars on the bumper of a short course truck, I'm assuming this thing's got guts. So there's no mud flaps or anything like that. So if you stand behind the truck, especially with these particular tires, you're probably going to get stones in your shins. So maybe wear pants that day. I don't know. But aside from that, everything else looks like the Mega range. We still have adjustable body posts, front and rear. And the shock towers. I know that a lot of people are probably going to be a little bit concerned about these shock towers, but if you have a look, and it's kind of hard to see, but these are honeycombed inside. So they've actually strengthened these shock towers compared to the old Mega range. Now, I don't know if they're going to sort of roll this design out to the Mega range in future updates. There's a chance that there might be, but I know that they specifically told me that they've put honeycomb design on the shock towers to obviously make them a little bit stronger. The other thing I'm hoping that they've done is that these shocks are strong enough, because even with the Mega range, you know, working in a hobby shop, you see all sorts, and there were a couple of issues with the shock shafts snapping on the granite. I haven't had that problem, and you guys seen that I ran it on BMX track and took tumbles with it and jumps and so forth. Didn't have a problem, but for some people, I don't know, they tumbled it. One person said that they just drove it on straight concrete, took a tumble, and it snapped the shock shaft. On a brushed vehicle that does top speed of about 40-45 k's an hour, that was a little bit surprising to me. Something like this that's brushless, the impact is obviously going to be much greater, so we'll see how these shock shafts hold up. The one thing that I can say that I'm a little bit disappointed with just taking the body off and having a look at this, and this is a little bit unlike ARRMA. I don't know if they skipped that day, if somebody lost a memo somewhere, or I don't know what happened here, but this is very unlike ARRMA. And that is these floppy wires just kind of sitting here. There's nothing here to attach the wires to anything. I don't know if there's a part missing, or if the person that's in charge of tidying up the cabling, they didn't really, I don't know, maybe they went on leave that week and they forgot to put the thing that holds the cable. I don't know what happened, but all the other cars, even from the version 1, Creightons and Sentons and all that, they've all been very good with their wire management. So this is a little bit surprising to me. I don't know, like, not even a zip tie. I don't know, ARRMA, come on. You've dropped the ball here a little bit. Somebody needs to, you know, get a slap on the wrist on this one, because that's very unlike you. You've set the standard. This is your own fault. You did this to yourself, ARRMA. This is your own fault. Cables need to be tidier than this. I'm sorry. Your standards are much higher than this, and yeah, I was not expecting to lift the body and have floppy cables rolling around in here. So this is, yeah, hopefully they'll revise that in the update. Other than that, what else have we got that we need to talk about? Suspension-wise, as with most of ARRMA cars, the doctors over at the suspension lab in ARRMA HQ have done a pretty good job. At least it seems like they have done a pretty good job. Every time I get an ARRMA car, it's never bouncy. You don't get any of this point business. They don't feel like I have to put, you know, a ton of bricks on this thing to compress the shocks. It always feels like they've actually tested the cars and they've gone, oh yeah, no, this actually feels okay. So somebody's doing their job, which is good to see, obviously. So I'm pretty happy with the way the suspension feels. Tires. Let's talk about the tires. Can I just say that these tires feel, imagine this. The ARRMA Fury, which I had one of in the past, and even the Senton 6S, which I think has the same tread pattern as the ARRMA Fury on the tyres, well, has the exact same tyre, I think. Think of those tyres as like one of the worst tyres that you can have on a ready to run. Now, ARRMA are probably going to be upset at me for saying this, but I really hate those tyres. Like, those tyres were just awful. They were horrible, okay? And I did give them personal feedback on this, that they need to improve those particular tyres on the Senton 6S and on the Fury Mega range. The tyres were just, they were no good. Yeah, they'd last forever because they grinded a brick into the shape of a tyre and slapped it on an RC car and go, there you go. I mean, they were that hard and they just offered no grip at all. That's what they did. This is the polar opposite of that. So it's almost as if they've gone, I think he's got a point. Let's do something about that. And they did. So these tyres feel amazing. The foams actually feel like there's a bit of firmness in there. So it feels proper, it feels good. The rubber compound doesn't feel like I'm gonna get, I'm gonna lose a layer of skin by touching it, because it's not hard, it's actually soft and pliable. So everything about these tyres feels like they've actually done some research. Much like the tyres that were on the Granite 4x4, these look as though they're going to hold up just fine. And for general bashing, which is really what this truck is aimed for, this isn't designed to go out and win championships with. This is designed for you to go, I want a short course truck to bash around the backyard. Here's the Senton 4x4 BLX. Congratulations, Merry Christmas, go outside and have fun. That's what this is for. And I think they've nailed it here. As long as they don't, shred to pieces the first time I pin the throttle on 3S, I think we'll be okay. I think these tyres are not going to leave you out of pocket because you have to go and buy new tyres for your newly acquired short course truck. The rims. The rims are kind of like a black chrome. So I think on the Mega range, and I know my camera's struggling to focus here, on the Mega range, they had the black rim, it's just a matte black rim. And what they've done here, they've gone with the black chrome, which kind of gives it like a gunmetal sort of look, but they're obviously polished. And I've looked at this truck now for about a week. I've had the truck here for about a week before doing this video, and I still don't know how I feel about these rims. I think chrome rims in general, unless they're done really well, they can actually cheapen the look of an RC. And I think these are on borderline. I think some of you might be watching this and going, who cares? They're going to get scratched up, they're going to get wrecked anyway. Like, they're just rims. Well, yeah, true, but you want to have a little bit of emotion in here because you buy the truck, you spend your money, it looks good, it's bright, and then they have these chrome black rims and it's like, I'm not sure. Like, maybe that's just a personal thing, all right? Maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, but I don't know. I would have gone for something maybe a little different. Maybe more of a matte gunmetal finish, maybe. I don't know. It's just cooler than this. This looks a little bit 5 years ago. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. It's not terrible, but it's not like, wow, right? Am I? Okay, I don't think I'm out of line saying that. Plastic drive shafts. Telescopic plastic drive shafts. We've seen these in other brands we're not going to talk about. And I do say brands, so there's more than one. Do your research. There are other companies that do telescopic drive shafts, one of which is actually owned by Horizon Hobby, believe it or not. I'm a big fan of metal dog bones and CVDs and all that because it's steel, it's hard, it works, all right? But then when you go brushless, in brushed vehicles, plastic drive shafts, I don't have an issue with. There's not a ready-to-run brushed car out there on the market today that will destroy plastic drive shafts out of the box, unless you are like disturbed in the head and you're seriously abusing these cars to the point where you want them to break. You're not going to break these plastic drive shafts on a brushed vehicle. On a brushless car, the jury's out on that one. I don't know. We'll see how this holds up. I'm going to reserve judgment for the moment, but we'll see how this holds up. ARRMA assure me that they've done their tests and they've got no issues with these drive shafts. Let's find out. Challenge accepted, ARRMA. Let's see what happens. So I think I've covered pretty much everything here. The truck looks fantastic. The chassis looks tough as. Like, I really like this chassis. You've got a couple of little kind of spaces here for the batteries, so you can, if you want to run longer batteries, bigger batteries, thicker batteries, whatever, you've got room here to be able to take out these spaces and fit larger batteries in here. Velcro straps, of course, very nice. Little guards on the front here to protect dirt from getting into the chassis. Heaps of space. If you do want to upgrade the motor at a later stage, just heaps of room to really go nuts with something like this. And of course, you've got, beefed up A-arms. You've got a really nice, flat, clean chassis underneath, albeit, it's printed with ARRMA pretty much everywhere. Which I think, just ARRMA, just pull back on the labeling and the thing a little bit. Yeah, it's cool, but just settle down. There's almost every plastic piece on this thing has got an ARRMA stamp or a logo stamped on it. I don't know, I'm just taking the piss here, so just relax. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy with the way the truck looks. I think they've done a really good job, and I'm really looking forward to running this. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually looking forward to running this a little bit more than I am running the Notorious, because I've had the Outcast which is just over to you can just see the wheel of it up on screen there. I've had the Outcast. The Notorious is going to be very similar. I'm just curious to see how they've tuned the diffs in the Notorious compared to, you know, what the Outcast was. So that's probably the only thing that I'm really curious about there with that one. And of course, scratching up the body to see how that real steel look actually works. But with this platform, yeah, okay, I've had the Granite, but this is a short course truck with a longer chassis. And let's not forget, it has a wheelie bar. A wheelie bar. Right. So, I know that we're all, I mean, this is supposed to do like 50 miles an hour out of the box, and so far, ARRMA haven't really led us astray. I think on the first Creighton review that I did, on the Series 1, I said that, you know, if you're going to put a speed reading on a box, if you're going to stamp the box or the car and say, this car can do X amount of kilometers or miles per hour, then it should do that out of the box. And on the Series 1, ARRMA did not provide us with an optional speed pinion to reach those speeds. We had to go out there and spend that money ourselves. I think they give us a pinion, but it didn't get to those speeds. There was another pinion you had to go. Anyway, it wasn't included. Then they started bringing that out, and now every ARRMA car that I've owned that says 60 miles or 70 miles an hour, you put in the optional pinion, bang, you get those speeds. This claims 50 miles an hour out of the box. There's no optional pinion in here. So I'm hoping that with the stock gearing that this has got, it should reach 50 miles an hour out of the box with the 3S LiPo, and I cannot wait to speed test this thing. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this truck's going to do very well, and yeah, I think I'm going to leave the video here for now. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are very vocal about these products. Some of you may have already owned it, because I know I'm getting this a little bit late. It's been released in the States for quite some time now, and I've seen videos of it up online and so forth. So if you've got one, let me know what you think of it. Have you come across any issues? Leave those comments down below. As always, make sure to check out the video description. I'll have links in there where you can get your own, not just here in Australia, but also from Horizon Hobby, and I might put a Tower Hobbies link in there as well. Yeah, feel free to check out the video description for those links. There will be links in there to my social media pages, such as Instagram, Facebook, and of course Patreon, which you can jump on there and help us out and supporting the channel. That is it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll speak to you all next time.